Well, good morning, everyone that is just joining the conversation. We just opened this broadcast and we are going to start. We're going to allow more people just to join and we're going to start in probably a couple of minutes.
Well, good morning, Alberto, Benigno, Geoff, Oscar, Travis. Thank you for joining us. We'll start in a few minutes.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Miguel Cortines. I'm the president of the Canadian Council for the Americas, Alberta. And as you are aware, we are having these weekly chats every Tuesday, almost every Tuesday. And today is our last presentation before we start in the summertime and we take some sunshine. It's very hot in Alberta. I hope that you are enjoying this beautiful weather. And today we have an important conversation that is about digital transformation. I think we are all experiencing after the pandemic an acceleration in the way that we do business, that industries are transforming itself. And I think this is a relevant topic for CCA. It's very important to the diversification. And I think this topic is part of this diversification. And well, we are going to. I want to invite my guests just to put your camera on, Nahid, if you can join us, please. And I'd like to welcome today.
Miguel, I'm having just a quick. I know we're talking about digital, and I'm having a problem with my camera. It's ironic. I'm gonna try a different device. But let's get started, and I'll figure this out here.
Absolutely, no problem. No, it's part of the new challenges with technologies that we are improving every day. But well, today, I want to welcome Nahid Giga, is the president and CEO of Zigatta. Welcome, Nahid.
Thank you, Miguel.
And we also have with us here Elsa Kelly, and she's the vice president of marketing with Zigatta as well. Elsa, good morning.
Good morning, Miguel.
Okay, so we are going to learn today about this conversation about digital transformation in Latin America. And I'd like to start basically by introducing Nahid Giga. He's originally from Toronto. Nahid is a graduate from the University of Toronto. And shortly after graduating, he was recruited by IBM Canada, where his career started in the e-business division, servicing some of the Canada's largest corporations in the early days on offline and web. Nahid left IBM in 2001 and joined Amdocs, where he was responsible for global business development and had the opportunity to lead strategic global media, advertising, and telecom initiatives in over 20 countries. Nahid moved to the US in 2007 and started his journey in entrepreneurship with his first company in 2009, and has had numerous exits in the software and service industry. Today, Nahid is the CEO of Zigatta, a global technology and solutions company with over 130 employees serving clients in several industries. Nahid is also the co-founder of Scoreboards Ventures, a sports media and entertainment venture capital firm, and manages over a dozen investments. And also with me is Elsa Kelly. Elsa is a computer engineer graduated from the University of Guadalajara, co-founder of ADWEB Solutions and current VP of Marketing and Strategy at Zigatta. In 2017, she was the winner of the Adolf Horn Award for the Young Entrepreneur of the Year and recognized as a distinguished industrialist by the Council of Young Entrepreneurs of Jalisco. She's a faithful believer in corporate culture as the backbone of organizations. She's passionate about technology, and she's a fervent promoter of digital transformation for small and medium-sized companies. In 2018, she was the president of the Step Up Woman Accelerator Program for Business Woman, editorial counselor for the business section of the newspaper Mural in 2019, and currently vice president of entrepreneurs of the CANIETI, the National Chamber of High Technology Industry, Western Chapter. And with that, the screen is yours, Nahid, and I'm going to share also the screen because I'm going to be, just let me know how do you want to use the presentation.
Yeah, I think if you can pull the slides up, that would be great.
Awesome.
So Miguel, just a quick thank you to you and the CCA for the opportunity to present and share kind of our thoughts on digital and access to talent in Latin America. That's kind of the thesis of the conversation today. The CCA's mission is actually very conforming to the way that Zigatta sees the opportunity to connect to the Latin American market and what the opportunities are for digital and access to tech talent across all of Latin America. So we put together a few slides. The objective today is to provide just a quick high-level overview of Zigatta in terms of what our philosophies, perspectives, and beliefs are as it pertains to Latin America, and then really to jump into kind of a Q&A and turn this into a conversation. So thank you again, Miguel and CCA, for hosting today. We're excited for the fruitful discussion. As a baseline, slide number 2, just a quick overview of our history. We were established in 2015, and the thesis back then was really connected to the fact that the demand for talent was going to continue to outstrip the supply, and we were seeing that obviously for the last 15, 20 years. And from the beginning, when we established Zigatta, we were always had an aspiration of how we would tap into the Latin American market, knowing that companies would continue to hire, salaries would continue to go up, and the war on talent was a real war. We'll come back to that in the presentation a little bit later to kind of provide a little bit of proof points in terms of what we've done. In 2019, we had some more revelations. The fact that our belief and conviction in commerce, data, artificial intelligence, data-driven marketing was extremely real. It was here to stay. And we approached Salesforce and Adobe to become solution providers and have assisted in numerous applications and implementations since then. At the end of 2019, pre-COVID, we were about 40 employees, and we're on a journey with some great clients across the United States. We started down the hunt in late 2019 to look at a fortification of a strategy we had started in Argentina of how we could actually go acquire companies south of the border. And so we hired a broker in mid 2019. Obviously, the world was completely different back then. And we found this nucleus in Mexico, in Guadalajara specifically, of these phenomenal founder-owned, founder-led companies that were extremely exciting for us to take a look at. Companies that have been around 8, 10, 12, 15 years that were typically servicing the Latin American market and didn't have a lot of access to the US market. So we started down that path. We met with close to 30 companies the first round, and we shortlisted. We went through due diligence. We put a letter of intent out, and the world changed before our eyes with COVID. We, after a lot of commiserating, we continued to go down the path. We had made a commitment to go acquire Pixum, and we closed the deal in June of 2020 in the midst of COVID. What that did for us is it immediately gave us access to resources that had unbelievable skill sets in creative, so UI, UX, customer experience, and mobile, and a handful of customers with some great testimonials. If that wasn't enough, we decided to continue down the path of more acquisitions, hired the same broker again. And the first time that we met Elsa and her husband, Aldre, the founders of ADWEB, we knew that this was going to be our next acquisition. And soon in this presentation, when you get a chance to listen to Elsa, you'll know why. We closed the ADWEB acquisition in April of 2021, so still in the midst of COVID. And a fun fact for all of you participating today is that we still not have had the opportunity to meet Elsa and Aldre in person. So the entire acquisition was done through Zoom, it was done through DocuSign, but we have not physically shook their hand, we have not hugged them, we have not broken bread with them. And so we're looking forward to hopefully the world getting back to some normal and we can actually meet the team and the founders that we acquired in 2021. What ADWEB did is extend our capabilities in the commerce and digital marketing and gave us just a phenomenal footprint with ADWEB and Pixon, now based in Guadalajara. So fast forward to today, Zigatta has 130 plus employees across 3 countries, with our biggest nucleus actually in Mexico and Guadalajara. We've grown significantly in the United States. And now with Elsa and Aldre planting a flag in Alberta, in Calgary specifically, we'll be making significant investments there in the foreseeable future. Next slide. Again, we don't want to make this a sales pitch about Zigatta. I just want to give kind of a quick background on the verticals that we service. We have 50 plus customers and clients. That number is actually significantly bigger when you include the clients that we service in Latin America. The key industries that we're servicing today is fintech, obviously just a huge winner in the digital financial transformation. Banking and insurance, automotive, tools and manufacturing, CPG, and the list goes on. Oil and gas is something that we're paying much closer attention to now with oil and gas coming back. And I think one of the forays into the Canadian market, specifically Alberta, is looking at the impact of technology in oil and gas and how we can play a role over there. The next slide. Our offerings from a capability standpoint, we are big proponents of UI UX and tapping into the Latin American market. We realized that one of the hidden gifts of the companies that we've acquired is just unbelievable understanding of customer experience, UI design, and the constant kind of build, measure, learn philosophy that is just so needed by companies over here. We've also got end-to-end capabilities of product management. So we're big proponents of design thinking in terms of how do you think about things from the empathy of the customer standpoint and build software and solutions accordingly. Mobile, that was Pixon's bread and butter and continues to be. We are making a huge investment in AI and machine learning. Aldre, who's the co-founder of ADWEB, has a phenomenal background in data and is actually building an entire practice just focused on AI and machine learning. Commerce, very intentional to drop the E in commerce. We don't believe it's e-commerce anymore. We do believe that commerce is standalone and all companies need to think from a digital first perspective. So looking at what the commerce implementation and perspective is on that one is extremely critical. Data-driven marketing, again, that is the cornerstone of the 14 years of ADWEB's history. So putting that into our arsenal has been just a huge shot of adrenaline for us and our clients. And then we do provide staff augmentation and software development. So kind of catch all for all the things that don't get captured into sections 1 through 7. Next slide. Key market trends. I'm going to keep this extremely simple. I think everyone on the call here is probably facing this, and that's why there's an interest in the call. But every industry has to embrace digital. It's no brainer here. We've had more conversations around digital transformation, the impact of digital with our customers and our clients in the last 12 months than we've had in the 6 years we've been in business. Customers want to know, what do they need to do? How do they do it? What does the skill set look like? On the other side of a digital implementation, what does the journey look like? What does the ongoing managed services look like? So it's a completely different business offering in a collection of different conversations that we're having with our clients today. From a competitive standpoint, the belief is now a fact. Companies need to have a digital first mindset. Any organization out there that is not thinking from a digital first standpoint, it's going to struggle for the next 3 to 5 years and may be less and less relevant as time goes on. Technology, I'm going to show my cards here, but I've been in the technology industry for 25 years. When I first started, technology was considered a cost center. It was overhead, it was an expense. CIOs and CTOs did not have a seat at the board table. You fast forward to where we are today, COVID has absolutely accelerated this. Technology is a profit center. It's a revenue driver. It's a way to increase the top line. It's a way to increase the bottom line. And CIOs and CTOs and now CDOs, chief digital officers, have much larger budgets, much larger influence, much larger sway at the board level, and also from a financial service, from a public market standpoint. Lastly, technology has become a key competitive differentiator. Product features, customer differentiation, digital distribution, just the entire digital economy, technology has become a key differentiator. I'm a big proponent of living vicariously through my children. I look at how they're influenced. I look at how they make purchasing decisions. I look at the expectations they have when they buy something, when something's delivered, what they expect when they turn on a device, an always connected device. Just following what that will look like over the next 5 to 10 years. Those that are more forward thinking understand the importance of product development, product rollout. We do believe that is a huge differentiation in what the future landscape of the market looks like. Next slide.
Give me just a second, that I don't know what is happening here. Let me just a second. You can see the screen, right?
I think the next slide is changing.
Okay.
So trends in human capital. So kind of getting to the crux of the conversation today. We've seen this, we've felt it. We know customers are struggling with this extensively. And it is one of the reasons, if not the reason, we are extremely excited about Latin America. The relationship between the demand for talent and the supply for talent is the greatest that we've ever seen. Meaning every company who adheres to the trends in the previous slide is looking for talent, and talent is absolutely tapped out in the markets that we're the most familiar with the US market. And customers are coming to us to come up with more creative solutions. This gap in our mind is going to continue to get larger and larger, and solutions need to be brought to the market. Skilled talent obviously is and will continue to be in high demand. Technology is not something that you roll out and it continues to be relevant for the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. Technology is an evolution. What you implement today is not relevant in weeks and months, let alone years. So having skilled talent and access to skilled talent and trained talent and educated talent is going to continue to be huge differentiators for companies to continue to compete. I think the last one, and probably the most important one in terms of opening up the conversation on Latin America, COVID has absolutely rewritten the rules for location of talent. What I mean by this one is that we've had clients who have always insisted that the resources need to be stateside, or the resources need to be physically in the same office as them. COVID has accelerated what was inevitable, that companies can adapt, companies can adjust, and companies can continue to thrive with resources not physically being in the same office. I think now if you take the notion of borders and you eliminate the physical and the mental challenge of what a border represents, as long as you have access to skilled talent, where you're located is not as relevant as it used to be. And we're seeing some of the challenges with Facebook and Apple and some of the other companies that are starting to say we're opening the office back up. People have adjusted their lives, they have adapted, and the preference, not to say that everyone can work in this model, but many individuals are going to continue to look for opportunities where they can be remote. This is probably the biggest opening that we've seen from a trend standpoint. And we've had these conversations with clients. Do they expect our teams to come back to the office? Some are saying, you know, if they want to. Some are saying, no, they don't have to. Some are saying, look, we'd like to. It's difficult to build culture if you're not physically in the office, but it's a trade-off. If we want them in the office, then there's a certain set of limitations that we have to work towards. We have seen more excitement and enthusiasm for our resources in Latin America in the last 12 months because of COVID, and it's a trend that we want to continue to ride as much as we can. Next slide. So I alluded to this in the introduction. While we made our first acquisition in 2020, we had actually dipped our toe into quote unquote nearshore in 2017 via partnership with someone that I had done business with many years ago. Their facility was based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And we had a client here who gave us an opportunity to help them build a nearshore team. What I learned, and this was kind of my first foray into building the notion of a large team, is that the access to quality talent was extremely high, with a price point that you couldn't even compete with in the US market. And so just from an economic standpoint, it lowered the barrier for customers to get comfortable with the notion that, you know, they could get a resource for 2 to 1, sometimes 3 to 1, for a similar, not necessarily always the same skill sets, but for similar skill sets that they needed stateside. The Latin American connection to US culture was great. I mean, from an overall entertainment, media, key brand standpoint, the extension of what our team was looking for from access and exposure, they were very appreciative to get access to working on projects and initiatives and innovation in the US market. So, you know, never had to worry about attrition or never had to worry about boredom. The quality of projects that the resources were exposed to was pushing them out of their comfort zone, and really allowed for continuous learning and development. The next point, admiration for US innovation. That is one thing. The US has always been a beacon of innovation when it comes to technology, and to give resources around the world access to working on US projects is actually a huge, massive benefit. Again, attracts great talent from Latin America, but it also creates a stickiness where you don't need to worry about attrition. The last one is actually another very key one, and we didn't know how to approach this because some of our experiences in other places in the world always really kind of bit us in the butt. But when we spoke to and we worked with organizations south of the border, there really wasn't a massive desire to relocate to the US. There was option to travel, there was option to participate, there was option to be present, but it's not like other places in the world where you've got to worry about you know, the long-term goal or the objective of the individual is to move to the US. And so that one has actually been just a huge benefit, that we don't have to worry necessarily about immigration and relocation. While all of that is great, we did experience language as being one of the challenges that we had to overcome. And then communication style was different. You know, because English was not necessarily the first language, this type of engagement on a stand-up, the type of engagement in a meeting, the type of engagement in a video call, we had clients that we had to educate and get comfortable with the fact that because English was not their first language, there was a little bit of hesitation to try to engage. But as we really kind of nurtured this opportunity and started to you know, get our teams more comfortable with speaking and participating and engaging, we noticed that the model is actually working quite effectively. So, you know, we've been in the quote unquote nearshore business for about 4 years. And Argentina was our first foray into that. On the next slide. This experiment that we conducted with Argentina, you know, really gave us the confidence to say, okay, we've got this partnership, but the reality is that these team members are partners, they're not necessarily our employees. And we're big believers in building culture. And if you're going to build culture, then these have to be employees that are part of your DNA, where you can share core values, you can share vision, you can share mission, but you're aligned to the same set of objectives. You can with a partner, but a lot easier to do with your own employees. So in 2020, as we talked about, we went through with the Pixon acquisition, really gave us a depth and breadth in mobile UI, UX, and product development. And it showed us that we can do it. You know, we can buy a company in Mexico. We went through some challenges in terms of, you know, how to do the acquisition, how to structure the acquisition in a foreign country. How do you deal with tax treatments, and how do you deal with benefits and payroll taxes, and things like that. But we knew that we had hit something extremely special. The Pixin acquisition, the Pixin founders had 100% alignment to our core values, how we saw the customer first approach, how we saw innovation, how we saw constant learning, that we really felt very blessed to be able to make that acquisition. So we quickly dovetailed into ADWEB, and ADWEB took our confidence to an entirely new level. And you'll see that in a second here when I introduce Elsa, and she shares kind of the background of ADWEB. What we learned through this two-pronged process of Pixin and ADWEB, because the lessons for us are as important as the acquisition, is that in order for us to convince Pixin and ADWEB to join the Zigatta family, we really needed to share with them a shared vision. It wasn't enough to get acquired, but it was important that we share who are we today, where are we going, and why are you guys so important to being a cornerstone of the Zigatta family. Every one of the core team members asked me, why should we get acquired by Zigatta? And it was really making sure that there was pure alignment in terms of where were we headed, and how are we going to make sure that the culture that we were acquiring was something that we were going to be able to preserve. Culture and key values, or culture and values, were absolutely key. That alignment, I cannot stress enough how important it is when you're buying and acquiring and partnering with a culture that is different than the American culture, or for that matter, the Canadian culture. There has to be an alignment in terms of your core values. Investing in learning the local language. I will say this goes two-pronged. It sounds very egotistical that we're encouraging our team members to learn English. I'm also encouraging our team members over here to learn Spanish or learn the local language of where we're doing business. I think in order to be able to really share alignment on core values and culture, we need to make sure that we embrace and understand kind of the local cultures and the local language and the local traditions, and make sure that we're coming halfway to be able to respect those as much as possible. Time zone. I can't stress this enough also. The ability for our team members to participate in team meetings with our teams up here, with our clients and our partners, to participate in Zoom meetings, and to be plus or minus 1 or 2 hours from a time zone standpoint is extremely critical. This isn't something where you're working overseas and time zones have to be flipped and you got to use the follow the sun or follow the moon mentality. Our business day is their business day. Our weekends are their weekends. Our holidays are obviously shared between the two. So just a huge benefit for our customers that are looking to dip their toe, to know that the team members that they're working with are going to be at on the same time zone. Ongoing and continuous education training. I'm a big proponent that you stop learning when the day you die, and if you don't have a culture of learning, both as an individual or as a company, if you don't provide your team with access to tools and education and training and innovation and stimulation, you're not going to be as relevant as you could possibly be. And we've seen that the thirst for education for Latin America and the access to working on innovation is probably greater than what we experience with some of our other teams up here. So it's easier for us to be able to expose and crack that access. We have seen open arms of how can I get more involved? How can I participate? How can I get certified? And we're extremely thankful for the mentality that our team members have. I think lastly, just to respect, when you're doing business, and part of my corporate background really gave me an appreciation for how important it was when we traveled the world and we did business around the world. We always walked into the different countries with a really good understanding and appreciation of norms, behaviors, partnership structures, and making sure that we did our homework to make sure we were respecting the territory that we're selling into. I feel very strongly here that as we go into Latin America, this isn't just necessarily adhering to how business is done in the US and Canada, but it's also an appreciation and an acknowledgement of how life is lived in Latin America, what is important, and how do we make sure that we respect all that. Next slide. So where are we today? We started in Dallas, 2015. In 2020, we planted a flag in Guadalajara that we're extremely proud of. Actually, 2017, we planted a flag in Argentina. 2020, 2021, we planted flags in Guadalajara. And now with Elsa and Aldre and the ADWEB team moving up to Calgary, we'll be planting a flag in Canada also. So just super proud of the fact that we've got great team members across Mexico, the United States, and Canada. We can take advantage of NAFTA agreements. We can take advantage of tax treatments. We can take advantage of the TN1 visa, and really gives us an opportunity for our teams in the US to be able to travel to Mexico and relocate if they want, for our teams in Mexico to look at opportunities in the US and Canada for relocation, and hopefully for our teams in Canada who want to embrace living in the US or living in Mexico. So for us, again, looking at from a shared value, core value standpoint, giving our employees opportunities. I'm a product of an immigrant family. My family's from Africa. We moved to Canada. From Canada, I moved to the United States. I've had the opportunity to travel the world, do business around the world. The greatest gift that we can give our employees is the opportunity to visit and potentially relocate to other countries where they just get unbelievable experiences that you can't learn from a book. So very blessed, very thankful for that, and we're looking to grow our presence across the three nations. Next slide. So I'm going to hand it over to Elsa here just for a second, and definitely want to take a moment here just to acknowledge and share, well, acknowledge Elsa for all her accomplishments. I know Miguel walked through her bio. But one other thing that we are extremely excited about, and definitely one of the tipping point reasons for the ADWEB acquisition, is the access to women in technology and entrepreneurship in Latin America is as good, if not greater, than anything I've been able to see in my 25 years. To meet Elsa and look at what she's accomplished, look at the leaders that she's built inside of ADWEB, look at the impact that she's made with the University of Guadalajara, to look at the awards that she's won that recognize her abilities as a woman in technology and as a woman entrepreneur, is second to none. And having her not only lead our marketing and strategy, but also lead our core belief that we have a platform here where we can provide opportunities and elevate women in technology, actually makes us really not only is just a differentiator for us in terms of how we attract talent, but it's one of our core values. And so I'm going to hand it over to Elsa here just to provide a little bit of a background of who ADWEB is, kind of where they were, where they are, and kind of where they see the market going from here as they're now part of the Zigatta family.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Nahid. Thank you again, Miguel, for having us in this talk, and everybody who is attending today. Okay, it's been quite a journey for us this past 14 years, almost 15 years in ADWEB, and now in this joint venture with Zigatta. But I want to tell you a little bit about our background and what lead us to here and actually to be expanded to Canada. We started the company, my partner and I, back in 2006 in a small apartment, and it's a small room of an apartment. We were by ourselves kind of for almost a year. And then we started to have somebody in the team to help us with project management, with some finances. And then we started to grow. By 2010, we were about 15 team players. And that's where the marketing department actually started, because my partner and myself, we are computer engineers. And when we started, our main focus was in web development, in e-commerce, and development side of the tech industry. But then the boom of digital, of social networks started, at least in Mexico, around 2010. And we started to do those kinds of strategy for ourselves to keep relevant in the market. And we start to build what now is our bigger department that is related to marketing, but always with that data, with that mindset of data, because of our background of being engineers. We always had a mindset of analytics, of key performance indicators, and all those things that are not just only graphic or branding, but always really, really analytical and data and database. So by 2014, we were around 25 members, and we got certified by as Google partner. And our history started to evolve more quickly around 2016, when we were winners to be part of a accelerator program, which is called Step of Women, which handles or helps women entrepreneurs to accelerate their business. And later on, I was invited to be director and proceed that a couple of years ago, I was director of that program. But that opens the door for us to get exposure and to get to know a bigger market and a bigger opportunities there. And by 2017, we were the winners of ADWEB Award to the Young Entrepreneur of the Year, which was really important and really opens the eyes for us about the talent and about the necessity that there is to exposure more the women talent and the women in tech, because that award, even though it is really prestigious award in Jalisco, it was on the 10th edition, and it was never won by a woman before. That time, it was the first time that a woman that I had the chance to won that award, but it was the first time, and it has passed to another editions from there, and it hasn't again. It's always been won by men. So there's a lot of work to do in that area. So we are really committed to work around women in tech and empower more women that wants to pursue their professional dreams. And by 2020, we start our expansion to Canada. Actually, we started the process back in 2019. We got all our paperwork around 2020, and then COVID hit. So we already had an office downtown in Calgary and another one in Vancouver. But actually, my partner and I were not able to move to Calgary until this year. So that changes also our plans, but we started to work with our expansion to Canada before the acquisition of Zigatta. And I will tell you why that happened. And by that time, we were actually a Google Premier Partner, which is a really important badge to get. And this year, early in the first trimester of this year, we closed the business to get acquired by Zigatta, which has been a really, really nice journey and really excited all the journey, the due diligence, and all the things that we can do together from here. But one thing, can we go to the next slide, please? One thing that I want to focus a little bit more about our history is the profile and the kind of profile that we had in the beginnings as ADWEB. Most of our team in project managers and the leaders, like the technical leaders, the project management team, are the profile or the career that we look for. It was computers engineer. That at least in Mexico, for every 10 men studying engineers, and especially computers engineers, it could be around 3 to 4 women at most. So most of the applications that we had for those roles were actually male, were actually men applying for those works. So there's a lot of competition there for talent, and there's a lot of competition there in that specific area. But then we had a great experience with one girl from marketing that wanted to move to project management and had a really analytic mind. So we gave her the opportunity, and we find out that there was a lot of talent in marketing, in girls that study marketing, that probably were kind of afraid for math and for physics, and they didn't study engineers. But the reality is that they were capable, and they really had an analytic mind. So we start to shift around our roles and our profile for hiring people for those kind of roles, for project management, for technical lead. And we started to add some people from marketing, communication, and other kind of careers that mostly is the opposite. There are more women than men studying those kind of careers. So we started to get a lot of talent, of women talent in that area, that were reconverted and started to understand that mindset of data analytics and a little bit of maths that we did that we needed for our business to grow. And by now, we are proud that in our ADWEB team, before the acquisition, 70% of the leadership team are actually women. And if we look at all the team leaders around the organization, we are more than 80% female. And one of the most important things that is happening right now, and that I really encourage you to take a look at, is the reconversion. Because right now we can say that it's 30%, even a little bit more, around 35%, that are professionals, marketers that join our company and now are being reconverted to marketers. So they are able not just do marketing the way they learn at school, but also to use data analytics, predictive analytics, and use technology to improve their capabilities to generate results over marketing. Can we go to the next slide, please? And one of the most important things that I actually want to share with you is that, as I mentioned before, we wanted to expand. We've been in the business for almost for 14 years, almost 15. We are well established in Guadalajara, and we wanted to say, what's there? What else can we say? And we started thinking about the expansion. And well, I won't go into the details about why Canada, why Calgary, but in general, my partner and I were in Canada back in 2019, and we just fell in love with Canada. And there's a strong relationship from government and some organizations like Alberta Innovates between Calgary and Jalisco. So we saw that it was a really good match to actually expand here to Calgary, where there's a lot of investment in innovation, there's a lot of investments in digital transformation, and there's a lot of power in entrepreneurs and all the community around it. So we wanted to be part of it. So by the time, if we go next, please. So by the time where Zigatta approached to us, and we saw that we shaded also, as Nahid mentioned before, not just our values and our vision and our corporate culture which it was one of the most important things, and could have been a deal breaker if it wasn't the way it is. So we shared the vision, we shared the value, we shared the appreciation for our team and for our customer, but also they had and the plan of expanding to Canada and searching to expand the market to Canada made total sense for Nahid and their team. So all our vision aligned. So we were on going to the expansion to Canada, to searching for new clients, to new opportunities in the market. And they had already the USA market. So it made totally sense to go in the same direction that we were already going, but go faster than we never thought before. So that's why we are really excited to join forces with Zigatta, to have this opportunity to connect the talent between Mexico, USA, and Canada, to build something really, really great, not just only for us, but for our clients to have better opportunities to invest in technology the best way possible, with the best return of investment possible, having that opportunity to mix all of those three locations. So, well, thank you so much, and Nahid, I will get back to you for your final thoughts.
Thank you, Elsa. Well said. We're going to go quick here. Miguel, if you can click the next slide. We've gone over the allocation that we had. So just to summarize what Elsa and I shared, very simple points here. Really, technology talent development is still in the first inning. Our hope is that companies like Zigatta and others really look at Latin America as just a huge opportunity to find great talent, but also to invest in Latin America. And what I mean by that is you've got to work with the universities, the government institutions and agencies, and look at public-private partnerships about how do you develop talent, because this is not something that you think about for the next 1 year or 2 years. This is something you think from a generational standpoint. And so having cross-functional representation across those constituencies is extremely important, and one that I know we are taking full advantage of. But we would love to find other key stakeholders that want to hold hands together and do this in a much larger capacity. Number two, Latin America is no secret anymore. We have seen the competitive landscape in Guadalajara specifically change in just a short 12 to 14 months that we've been down there. IBM is down there, Oracle's down there, HP is down there, Amdocs is down there. A lot of these major organizations are looking at Latin America for places where they can build their solution centers, their technology centers, and even their innovation centers. So it started. I believe the flywheel is already spinning, and I think it's going to spin a lot faster in the next few years. One notion that I want to clear up here, I think this applies to both the word offshore and nearshore. We've got to get better, and I don't have a term for it. And so we use the word nearshore just as a replacement. But nearshore doesn't necessarily mean access to cheap labor. Yes, the economic model is a little bit more attractive, but the quality of talent is as good compared to a lot of other places in the world that I've seen. I think eliminating borders and looking at this as an opportunity to expand companies' capabilities is really the takeaway here, as opposed to how do you drive unit economics down. I think there are unit economic advantages today. I think that will continue to change. But I think looking at what the impact can be made in terms of making investments in Latin America and getting a return on investment from a labor and from a skills and from an innovation standpoint is really the biggest takeaway. The last slide, and I promise we'll end here. Key takeaways on how to make this successful. If you are interested in looking at Latin America, integrate the teams. This can't be the Mexico team versus the Dallas team or the Calgary team versus the Guadalajara team. You really need to look at how do you integrate the teams into unifications of organizations where you can actually do some magical things when you take folks from different places, share an objective, share a goal, and have them all pushing in the same direction. And for us, that's probably been the biggest takeaway and the biggest success factor. As in anything else, keep investing in people. It will pay huge dividends both today and tomorrow. And so we are just big proponents and continue to allow and provide and incentivize our teams collectively across Canada, the US, and Mexico to continue to educate themselves to make sure that they take full advantage of the programs and the education that's available out there. I think lastly, as an organization, you got to share in the success. You got to celebrate the wins, and you got to reflect on the losses. Remote is very alienating. And I think COVID has obviously shared or helped us all understand that we're all human, and human beings need contact with each other. And so just the notion of remote, you've got to find a way to engage. You've got to find a way to continue to motivate and inspire. And part of it is integrating the teams, but part of it is also creating an environment where you can get cross-pollination on the physical layer. We're excited that this year we'll actually get a chance to go down to Guadalajara. We'll get a chance to meet the 100 people that work for Zigatta down there, something that we've not been able to do because of COVID. But the fact that they've been able to keep the enthusiasm and the excitement through COVID is also a testament just to the excitement of kind of what's been created. So I think it's extremely critical. Really excited about kind of what the future holds, and also kind of bringing the model to the Canadian market. So I will leave it at that. I do apologize. We had about 20 minutes allocated for the presentation. We took an extra 30. But Miguel, unless you say otherwise, we'd love to open up to some questions and see if we can, provide some answers to the audience.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much for the presentation. And it was, I'm really impressed. And I think this is already a great success story, right? Both of you with two companies and the acquisition and the future that is bringing a lot of great opportunities in this digital world. So I want to just to remind the audience that is watching the presentation, please feel free to send your questions. We have a few minutes, and if you have a question, just let me know. But I have some questions for you as well here before. I know, for example, I think it's great. It's great, all the success, and I love the way that you are basically made this deal just by using digital technology without having a real face-to-face. And I think this is very important because in this time, most of the work that we do with the Canadian Council for the Americas it's about relationships, and most of the time you say, okay, you need to meet in person basically to create this relationship, but you are proving that it's possible to do business in using digital, and using this kind of platforms that we are using right now are very effective. But something that is important for us here in Alberta is that we rely a lot in the oil and gas industry. CCA has dealt with a lot of most of the years of the organization in the oil and gas industry. I know that you are based in Texas, Nahid, and you are dealing with oil and gas, the oil and gas sector as well. How do you see that oil and gas companies can be benefit from the digital transformation strategy in your experience in Texas?
I mean, I will tell you, our pipeline right now in oil and gas is bigger than it's ever been. COVID obviously slowed things down. Commodity prices took a massive hit. But, major oil and gas companies have huge dependencies on software. So if you look at the entire back office, the supply chains, the logistics, are all based on enterprise software. So SAP is a great example. The backlog that SAP implementations have for oil and gas is larger than it's ever been. We've been approached by a few oil and gas companies to actually stand up a practice in Mexico just focused on SAP upgrades. The same thing applies for Salesforce. And so I think if you look at what your backlog is, as whether you're an oil and gas company or any company today that really lost a lot of 2020, a portion of 2021, has software upgrades to do, has product roadmap implementations to go do, the way to accelerate the loss of the last 18 to 24 months is to look at how do we add more resources to the equation. The backlog of upgrades and product roadmap isn't really a factor of the provider. It's a factor that there's not enough resources available right now to do a lot of the development work. So I would really embrace and look at, are there providers outside of the borders that can maybe do a 2-to-1, 3-to-1 from a resource allocation standpoint, and then start to quickly accelerate what the loss in the last 24 months has been.
That's great. That's awesome. And let me see. We don't have any questions here. I don't think so. So, well, I have different questions here, but what is the in a digital transformation strategy? What are the most important aspects to consider by a company that that it's aware about this importance of digital transformation, but what are the steps basically in your experience? Just probably a business case, a very simply that people can understand more how digital transformation starts.
It's a great question. I wish it was a question that more companies would ask, because I don't think it's as simple as the answer I'm going to give you. But digital transformation requires a collection of things. And I think the two biggest pieces are, you have to get alignment throughout the entire organization. So there's got to be somebody who's got the vision to convince the entire organization, here's the direction that we're going, here's the upside, but here's the impact. Because as sexy as digital transformation sounds, it's a tremendous amount of work, and it's got a tremendous amount of challenges, and it does have a tremendous amount of failure. So I think that's number one, is getting proper alignment across the organization. I think number two is that there has to be a shift in the culture. When you start to rely on technology to be the growth engine of a company, the culture has to be able to support it. And I think the places that we've seen most of the failures is that there isn't a real understanding of what are going to be the cultural impacts of us shifting down this particular direction. And I can't state that enough in terms of how important those two pieces are. There's got to be an understanding of why are we doing it? Do we have the proper alignment? Do we have the proper org structure? Do we have a proper team and the proper players? But also, do we know why we're doing it? Do we know why it's important? And does the culture of the company support it? Digital transformation, and it's not even probably the right word. I would probably look at this as digital evolution and replace the word transformation, because you have to continually evolve in digital, right? Digital is not something that you can get caught up in 2021 and then not worry about it for the next 3 or 4 years. You have to continue to evolve. So the culture piece and making sure that you have alignment from the top down, I think, is absolutely critical.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And for you, Elsa, so, well, you move right now to Calgary. You are based in Calgary, but and you mentioned that you have been in touch with Alberta Innovates and with the ecosystem here. How do you see the integration? How do you feel about the integration of the company as a new company that is coming here to Calgary? How is contributing to the development of this province? Because this province, it has relied a lot of oil and gas for many time, and right now, I think Calgary is doing a great job and all the province, in fact, in this diversification strategy that includes all the technological areas, right? Like the one that you are working on, artificial intelligence, fintech, etc. But how do you see that a new company like yours is going to contribute to this economy and to help local companies basically to thrive, to succeed?
Well, I think one of the most important things that I have lived so far is that there's hunger for this kind of involvement, as Nahid mentioned, that I couldn't agree more, that it's not just about transforming, it's about evolving, because it's an ongoing thing that you need to work on. Is about the technology. I'm expecting as things go back to as normal as they can, we can be more. They can have more opportunities to have networking and some kind of events where we can start to get to know a little bit more of the community that is not as as strong as it was like in the previous COVID, but it's getting stronger again. So I'm getting to understand a little bit more of the community. But the most important thing is that now I believe that there are a lot of companies that they know that they need to invest in technology, and they need to switch the way that they are approaching technology. And before COVID, sometimes you needed to let them and to make them understand that they needed to invest, but now they do know that they need to invest. What they don't know is how, what is the first step that we want to take. And with the experience that we have, like joining forces at ADWEB, being in a lot of medium and small companies, and Zigatta attending corporation and big companies, we have those pieces together. Like we can let them know and help them to do the first step, like in the consulting, and really understanding how technology can work for them, and not just choosing the technology, but getting to understand how that adds to their business model, so it can add more value to their company. So we are mixing all of this talent and all of this experience to go there and not just sell products, but to actually take that experience on how can that technology be better for the businesses.
Awesome. Well, it's just 11 o'clock right now, and we're trying to keep these conversations to 1 hour. I really want to congratulate both of you. It was a great presentation. I really appreciate that. I think just my little summary here. We need to be aware that we are in a new way of doing business. We are in an evolution, as you mentioned, Nahid and Elsa. We need to have a digital mindset. There is a lot of opportunity for skilled talent, but there is a lot of shortage of skilled talent, and it's a great opportunity, basically. And I think this is a great opportunity for Canada, for the US, basically, to develop here, but also for Latin America, just to develop new people, right? To create opportunities for people there. I just thinking right now, when you were in the conversation, thinking about Central America, all the big problem that is with immigration, for example, and all the great opportunities that could be to prepare people, right? Local people that can stay there, that can work from a computer, and they can be educated, right? Or to have digital skills. And I see there a great opportunity. I think the cultural values that you were mentioned were very important. We have a similar culture, Latin America, Canada, US, but it's important to create a mutual understanding in this. It's different cultures, but I think the mutual understanding is very critical to a success story like yours that I really admire. The participation of women in technology, I think, is critical. And Elsa, congratulations for all the hard work that you have done in these 14 years with ADWEB, and all just putting women in tech to be more visible. And yeah, thank you very much, Nahid. I don't know, you have something final words to say?
No, other than just gratitude and appreciation for the opportunity. It's nice to address an audience in my home country of Canada. And I love the opportunity of how we can do something great between Latin America, US, and Canada. So hopefully this is the beginning of many more conversations and brainstorming. But we'd love to be used as a resource in any way that we can actually help. So thank you again.
Excellent. Elsa, 1 second comment, 2 seconds comment.
Thank you, Miguel, so much for this opportunity. And I encourage you to look at Latin America, look at Guadalajara, and especially give opportunities to women in tech to grow and to convert professionally, to gain more opportunities.
Excellent. Okay, thank you everyone that is watching for listening to these conversations. We are planning an in-person event this summer in July. We are going to send you the invitation for a social event. We want to see your faces and we want to be in touch in person. And in September 22nd, I think we are hosting the Breakfast of the Americas. We are going to let you know more details about that as well. And we are going to continue with these weekly chats. In October, we are planning an event with Venezuela. And thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. Enjoy your summer and talk to you soon. Adiós. Buenos días.
Bye-bye.